Good morning, my listeners. This is Victor Doctor, and this is 53rd episode of Good Morning BSS World podcast, where I am sharing with you a lot of interesting stories from the business support services world. Not necessarily from Poland, where I am based, but also from some other destinations as well. Here you can hear from time to time some interviews with interesting people, some relations from interesting events, but also my individual stories and comments about what is going on in the business support services world. And today I have for you a few words about the very last edition of Outsourcing and More magazine. Yes, and what I mean by the very last means that this is the end of the Outsourcing and More journey. After 10 years, this is the 60th issue of this magazine. It is stopping to be released. Yes, from now on, starting from November 2021, the title of Outsourcing and More is not going to be published anymore. This is going to be replaced by Focus on Business title, and this is going to be continued under this new brand, refreshed brand. Yes, this is something what we did in Pro Progressio. We did change the names of our media. Outsourcing portal became Focus on Business, and Outsourcing and More magazine is also becoming Focus on Business. One title for two different media, for portal and for the printed, yes, still printed magazine. For the last 10 years we have printed Outsourcing and More, and now we are going to continue that, having in mind that we have over 1,500 different business subscribers who are receiving the paper copy of the magazine every second month. Not mentioning over 200,000 subscribers online who are downloading and reading online Outsourcing and More and the stories which we cover on pages of this magazine. So anyway, this was quite long intro to this episode, and now let's focus on this, what we can find in the 60th edition of Outsourcing and More magazine, which was released in September 2021. This time the magazine has 84 pages. It includes 22 different publications, including articles, news, and also interviews. The main story this time is the interview with Rod Jones, the principal at Rod Jones Consulting from South Africa. Yes, this time we have focused on South Africa, and Rod is telling us about one of the fastest growing destinations for BPO projects worldwide. What is this one of the fastest growing destinations for BPO projects worldwide? Of course, South Africa. Yes, we wanted to know more and much more about this country, and this time Rod Jones did an excellent work, and he shared with us all of his experience and knowledge about the South Africa region. If you are interested in moving your business into South Africa, or you would like to know who is over there, how big is this country, what are the cities where you can grow your BPO projects, this is the must to be read interview, which is with Rod Jones from Rod Jones Consulting. I'm really very much delighted that we had a chance to speak to Rod Jones, and this is the result of this conversation. So this is the main story. So South Africa on the cover page of Outsourcing and More magazine. If you go deeper into the magazine, then we are starting our, let's say, typical sections. The first of them is the legal section, and hereby we are focusing on some legal acts which are concerning Poland. Yes, first of them is written by representatives of Baker McKenzie legal agency, who are Magdalena Chochowska and Karolina Goździkiewicz, and those two experienced ladies, associates from Baker McKenzie, have focused on the subject of revolution in employee sobriety testing rules. Yes, this is changing in Poland, so what you can do, what you cannot do, what should be done, and how it is in line with the GDPR, then those are the elements which you can go go through and read in the article presented to you by Baker McKenzie experts. Another legal, let's say, element in Outsourcing and More magazine is simple joint stock company, a new type of commercial law company which is now possible to be arranged in Poland starting from 1st of July 2021. Yes, the rules of establishing new businesses have changed within the 2021. And what is a simple joint stock company? How does it work? How to start it? You can read in the story provided to you by Agnieszka Krzyżaniak, attorney at law in the law company Hudzik and Partners. Absolutely very valuable story, so it is worth to read. Once you go through the legal part of Outsourcing and More, then we have the stories coming to you directly from the business. And the first of them is being presented by Michał Stangret, the evangelist, Harmodesk and positive productivity. And what is Michał sharing on our pages is how to create a hybrid work environment without a hassle. What does it mean? What does it include? I believe this is absolutely a good story to be read, especially that Harmodesk is absolutely a new brand and a new business approach on the Polish market. This what is creating positive productivity in the development of their services is absolutely worth to be known, and Michał Stangret is one of the people, one of the persons who are absolutely responsible for the growth of Harmodesk in Poland. A good place, a good way to improve or to optimize the processes, especially in the BPO and the GBS environment. So how to create a hybrid work environment without a hassle? The answer for that you have on the Outsourcing and More pages, issue September 2021. Let's go forward. If we take a look on the business environment as the office environment, it is worth to know that something like acoustic booths are available for you. This is a tool, this is a space which you can put inside of your open spaces, and it can support you in comfortable work. Hash Hybrid, this is the name of this approach, and this one is being presented to you by authors from Hash Office company. I have recently even run an interview, a personal interview with people who are representing Mikomax company, who are the providers of Hash Office solutions in Poland, but this interview is being recorded in Polish, so if you would like to listen to it in Polish, you are very, very welcome. This was the episode 528 of BSS with No Secrets podcast, my Polish podcast, but this time more info about the acoustic booths is provided to you in English on the pages of Outsourcing and More magazine in the story from Hash Office. So go through that, read that, and I am more than sure that those are the solutions which might be interesting for you to implement in your companies. Okay, this is not the only one story about the environment, the office environment. Another one is provided to you by the giant, which is Steelcase, this American company represented in Poland by Wojciech Krupa, the strategic account manager, workplace consultant from Steelcase, is sharing with you. All spaces are now video spaces. Yes, this is the part of a title of the article written by Wojciech, and then it goes 3 key concepts to connect in-office and remote teams. Yes, the truth is that we are working in the hybrid environment, in the work where we connect our work from our homes and our offices, but also some, for example, co-working spaces or flex offices. And how to do that and how to implement video inside of that is absolutely important. So this is a story which is provided to you from Wojciech Krupa from Steelcase. Okay, so we have the office environment behind us. Let's go to some interviews. And the first of them is being an interview with Martin Konieczny, the business development manager from JLab Software Specialist. We, as the Outsourcing and More magazine, have spoken to Martin about his company and about his response to JLab's clients' needs. How do they evolve accordingly? So this is a story how JLabs works, and especially focused on the German market. Yes, JLabs company is based in Poland, but they are very, very active on the German market, supporting clients, companies who are based in Germany. How do they do it? How does it work? Martin Konieczny is providing you all of the necessary answers, and this is absolutely worth to be read. Okay, then we go to some technology section, and hereby I give you Sebastian Młodziński, the CEO from TimeMate. And Sebastian, who is the author of a fantastic project implemented in Poland more or less about 2 years ago, and this is a project supporting employees within the companies. They have created, TimeMate has created some kind of a tool, an electronical tool, which is a communication advice between the companies, but which is also a communication device between the employees and their management. Very, very interesting solution, especially that something like that I have never seen. I have never seen it so far. I am more than sure that there are some solutions which are presented somewhere in the world, but this one is absolutely unique, created in Poland and delivered to you, not necessarily only in Poland, but also worldwide. The title of this article is From Assessment Through Motivation to Internal Audits. And how does the solution of TimeMate fit into that area? You can read in the story provided by the CEO of TimeMate on the pages of Outsourcing&More magazine. Okay, then we go further within the magazine, and here when we are somewhere in the middle of it, there is this main story about South Africa, which I mentioned to you in the very, very beginning of our meeting today. This is my interview with Rod Jones. Absolutely worth reading. Go through that, and I am more than sure that your knowledge about South Africa will be absolutely great once you finish this story. Okay, let's move forward. Then we go into the investment sections, and within this section we always present you some stories from real estate industry, but also from countries and from the cities, where we can share with you some extra stories about how the BPO and GBS businesses is growing, is looking for the environment for the further growth of its business activities. And the first story here is Kores Polska, and this is an expert's view of Marek Czunowicz, who is the CEO of Kores Polska. Kores is a company who is a real estate agency, very fast developing real estate agency, present in many Polish cities, and their knowledge about the real estate environment in Poland is absolutely great. So here, Marek Czunowicz, as the CEO of Kores Polska, is sharing his expert's view about how the real estate market in Poland is currently looking like. Okay, so then we go into a very, very important story. I am more than sure that if you are developing your businesses, you are looking for some grants. Yes, the grants which are being provided by the public agencies, usually the country level agencies, and this is something what is provided to you from this time from the Polish Investment and Trade Agency. Yes, Polish Investment and Trade Agency, and in the person of Zofia Kilian, the Senior Consultant Center for Strategic Investments in Polish Investment and Trade Agency, is sharing with us a lot of interesting stories about new rules for investment support. Yes, the tailor-made grant prepared by the Polish Investment and Trade Agency is being described on the pages of Outsourcing&More magazine. Absolutely worth to read if you are considering to grow your business in Poland and if you are considering to get some public grants. This is not the only one story which is touching this subject, because it is being followed by a story presented by JLL, and especially with the comments of Iwona Chojnowska-Haponik and Rafał Szajewski, who are representing the JLL's team, and they are writing about business services sector in Poland, and they are mentioning that it can benefit from the nearshoring trend by attracting companies which look for opportunities closer to home. Yes, Poland is becoming more and more attractive in the nearshoring model, and more companies from the Western Europe and from Scandinavia are landing in Poland, and they are growing their business in our country. I am saying our country because I am based in Poland, so this is the story coming from Poland. I am more than sure that such nearshoring attractiveness is also being presented by other countries in the CEE region, but hereby we focus very much on Poland. Absolutely good to read nearshoring. This is another time when I hear and I read that nearshoring is becoming more and more popular than offshoring. Interesting? I'm more than sure it is. So go through that article and you will know much more. Then another part of outsourcing and more, and the stories from cities and countries. As the first one, we go to Kaunas in Lithuania. How Lithuania's second largest city brings about first-class quality? The answer for this question is being presented to you by Tadas Stankevičius, the director at Kaunas Invest in agency. So go through that article, go through this story, and you will know much more about Kaunas, which is a second city after Vilnius, which is very much attractive for the international investments. Kaunas is one space, one city which is being described on the pages of Outsourcing and More, and then we go into the Polish regions and Polish cities. On the first hand, there goes an interview with the president of the board of directors of the Pomerania Development Agency, Mr. Łukasz Żelewski. What he is being talking about is about the Pomeranian Voivodeship and the business offer of the whole Pomerania region, and this offer, of course, presented for the global businesses. So go through that very interesting interview with the president of the board of directors of the Pomerania Development Agency, and you will know much more about how to grow the business in the Pomerania region. Once you do that, then you should take a look on other stories about the Polish cities. For example, we can present you here on the pages of Outsourcing and More a story coming from the city of Elbląg. Elbląg is located nearby the Tri-City region, but it is presented in the other voivodeship. Yes, and this is a neighborhood, let's say, of the Pomerania region, but very attractive for the business services as well. And here there is another interview with Mr. Mariusz Domeracki, who is the president of board of Operator ARP, who are now growing the A-class building in the city of Elbląg, and this building is going to be available very soon for the tenants from BPO and GBS industries. So if you are interested in a little bit smaller cities, but who are prepared for growing the BPO business, then the story coming from Elbląg is definitely for you. Once you go through that, we go to the south of Poland, to the city of Katowice, where you can read about the city with 5 keys to success. What are those keys? So the first key is the city's stable financial situation. The second one are resources of modern office space. The third one are human resources. Then the fourth one, the city at the center of events. And the last but not least, fifth key, quality of life. All of them are being described by the city of Katowice, absolutely worth to be read. From Katowice, we move very close in the same voivodeship a little bit to the north, to the city of Częstochowa, which this time is sharing with us 125 years of tradition. Yes, but tradition of a heavy industry. So let's move out of our desks and let's focus on the heavy industry, which is of course present in every country and in Poland as well. And this time we have focused on that when it comes to the city of Częstochowa. Good to read, good to know. So where to go and read that article as well. Then from Częstochowa, let's go a little bit east to the city of Kielce. Yes, in the Kielce, dialogue is a good practice. Yes. The city's representatives do talk to the local craftsmen and to the local entrepreneurs. And if you are interested in going to develop your business in the city of Kielce, then this is absolutely the good to read article. I just want to mention as well that every of these articles, maybe not every, but most of those articles do have their QR codes, which you can also scan and go deeper into the text which is presented by the authors. Okay, so Kielce we have discussed, and then we go to the city of Łódź. So from Kielce, a little bit of geography in here, we go north of Poland, to the center of Poland, to the city of Łódź, where we catch wind in your sails, in our sails. And what is being described here is the answer for the question why relocating to Łódź is worth your while. Yes, Łódź, absolutely, city located very well in the country of Poland, very close to the capital, which is Warsaw, with a great office space and a very nice approach for the business investments. And all of that you can read in the article provided from the city of Łódź. This is not the end of the stories from the cities, because then from Łódź we go a little bit northwest to the city of Bydgoszcz, where Bydgoszcz Regional Development Agency is providing us a story about local competencies for global projects. How the BPO SSC sector is developing in Bydgoszcz? This is the question which is being put in the title of this story, and the answer is provided on the following 3 pages. So quite complex answer, and absolutely I must say that every year Bydgoszcz is growing the number of BPO but also IT investments in its location. So if you are also considering to move to Bydgoszcz, why not to read it? Why not to get more familiar with the stories coming directly from that city? From Bydgoszcz we go to Poznań, so it's then again a geographical approach. Bydgoszcz, Poznań. Poznań is down, so southwest from Bydgoszcz. Not too big distance, I guess this is more or less about 100 kilometers. And here the city of Poznań is focusing on IT. Yes, this is another story, very interesting story coming from the city of Poznań, where the city authorities are describing the local businesses. So if you want to know who from IT industry is present and what do they do in the city of Poznań, then this is a story absolutely worth reading. Here you can read about the largest Python software house in Europe. Here you can read about one of the largest SEM and SEO agencies in Central Europe. But also you can read about Poznań as a city of business and technologies, and also some IT initiatives which are being run within this city. Okay, then this is the end, full stop. But for the business locations, then of course Outsourcing&More is providing to you the stories directly from HR area, and besides the HR news, there are 2 stories which are absolutely worth to go through. The first of them has a title, Good Prospects for the Polish Business Services Sector. And why is that? And what do authors mean by giving us this title is being answered by Mr. Łukasz Grzeszczyk, the Executive Director, Client Relations from Hayes, Poland. Hayes is a giant HR agency. They are analyzing the whole HR environment in many countries, but here it is being analyzed from Poland's perspective. So if you want to know why Poland is a good destination for the business services from HR perspective, then the answer for that is being provided on Outsourcing&More stories. And the last but not least, something about the business events. But business events which are very much focused on networking, on the business knowledge sharing, and so on and so on. And this story is provided to you by company named Antal. Antal is another HR agency, very big HR agency, presented in Poland, but also in other countries in the CEE region. And about the organization of events and their role and value in the business world, you have a story prepared by this company. They have recently prepared a very interesting report, actually, about those business events, and here again you can find a QR code to download the report directly from the page 81 of Outsourcing&More magazine. Full stop. The end. Yes, I came to the end of the publications which are presented on Outsourcing&More pages. Issue prepared for you in September, October 2021, the last edition of Outsourcing&More title. I will say goodbye in here, so thank you very much for being with me. Thank you very much for listening this 53rd episode of Good Morning BSS World. We are meeting together again sometime in a very, very close future, but with Outsourcing&More magazine, we are not going to meet any longer. Now, Focus on Business is coming, and I am absolutely recommending you already now to subscribe Focus on Business and to go to the focusonbusiness.eu webpage, because over there you can find a lot of interesting stories directly from the business support services world, presented to you in an absolutely unique way. Thank you very, very much. My name is Victor Doctor. I am working for ProProgressio, the company located in Poland, where we do share a lot of knowledge, a lot of news and interesting stories from the business support services world. Did you like it? So why not to subscribe it? Yes, feel free to subscribe my podcast wherever you are and whatever platform you are using. And if you are liking this kind of stories, maybe you would like to support it on Buy Me a Coffee service. Why not? Thank you very much and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.